Now, to determine a population, to forecast a population in Singapore is quite difficult because I think you know Singapore is very multi-racial. We have got Chinese, we have got Malays, we have got Indians, and we got Eurasians, and we got a few other minority groups. How to satisfy so many different people? This is actually a very challenging task for the people who does this forecasting of population. Now, we want to hit by 2030 6.9 million. At the moment, we are only 5.3 million. Now, whether we reach 6.9 million or not in 2030 is still questionable. But the point here is this. We plan 6.9 million. First, find the land, put it aside, safeguard it. When we need it, we'll use it slowly. We don't just go out there and only develop on an ad hoc basis without a plan. We have a plan, and our plan is long term. Like I say, our population is very diverse, not only diverse. We've got a mixed bag of people who are citizens, PRs, non-citizens. Singapore is quite cosmopolitan. Many people come to Singapore to work, some to live, some after a few years become citizens. So there are many different types of what you should call these people. The population is essentially very diverse. Then, in forecasting the population, we also face with another problem. It's an aging population. Same with most countries in Southeast Asia, like Japan, maybe Taiwan, Singapore, no different. We have aging population. And also our household size is coming down, getting smaller. So all these considerations must be taken in to do the projection for the population. And when the land requirements is finally determined, the location of where this land should be located is all put into a plan that looks like this. And this becomes our roadmap for the future. This is the roadmap that will help us use up our resources intelligently, smartly, so that nothing is wasted to achieve our ulterior objective of accommodating 6.9 million people. These are the land use distribution for the year 2030. Like I say, we are all keeping this in our pocket. We would not use it anyhow. And now with that plan, with that plan, you will start to have all your transportation network mapped out. You have all your commercial centers mapped out. You have all your hospital and clinics also mapped out. Some of them not built yet, but we already identify where they should be in the future. And we know where all our green spaces. Of course, some of these green spaces are naturally already on the island, but some are man-made to create a total network system of green. Now, with this kind of long-term plan, the people of Singapore become well informed. They know how to read the plans, understand where are the future developments will be and the kind of infrastructure that will support this development. They can start to plan their life. They can plan where they want to live in relation to where they're working, in relation to where the parents' homes are, to be close to the parents. And also, some of them who already got children, they also plan to live close to the school that they plan to put their children in. So you see, information is very important to the population. It allows the people to even plan long term, just like the country. So if you have the country and the people together all planning long term, I think we will be all converging and heading in the right direction. With the kind of long-term housing, you can actually, the government especially, can already change the mindset of people, make them accept public housing as their first choice when they want to buy a home. In fact, many people in Singapore view public housing as the first choice because it is affordable. And if you go to Singapore and you look at public housing, they look no different from the private condominium, except that the public housing may not have a swimming pool and there is no fence. With long-term planning, like I say, the population is well informed. They can make better plans for their future, and they can locate their housing in relation to parents' employment, transportation. And with long-term planning, Tony already touched on long-term planning. Touched on the stockpiling of granite, sand, making our own bricks, having a long-term contract with supplier of steel and other construction materials. Because we have a plan, we are able to do that. If you don't have a plan, I don't think you dare to go and stockpile your construction material. You would not be daring enough to go and make a contract with the suppliers of steel. But with a plan, you can do that because you can actually stage your purchase. Why? Very simply for the purpose of making the construction cost of public housing low and therefore affordable. That is the objective. And because the plan is there, most people who are already living in certain locations, they look at the long-term plan, they feel secure because they know what's going on around them. They don't have to worry what is going to be built next door. They know most probably next door will be another residential development, or next door will be an open space, or next door will be an industrial estate that offers employment opportunities. It is this understanding of what is going to happen around you gives you the comfort and security to continue to live in the same estate. And because long-term planning, like I said, goes through reviews, 10 years, 5 years, the government has the time to review the plans, make changes when there is a change in the world economy, when there is a change in the population, the demographic profile. Any changes, you can react because you have a plan. But if you don't have a plan, you can't react. Your reaction will be very short-term, very ad hoc. And the repercussions you will not know. But with a long-term plan, you can actually anticipate some of the repercussions made by the changes to the plan. The second thrust, like Tony said, is comprehensive new towns. Now in Taiwan, for the last 2 days, I've been hearing everything done in ad hoc parcels, small, doesn't have the economy of scale. And because there is no economy of scale, there are many things that you cannot do. But in Singapore, we have the economy of scale. We created economy of scale by planning large-scale new towns. And why we build large-scale new towns? Not only for the sake of creating economy of scale, but if you build a new town, you can actually have more options to create more choice properties that will attract home buyers. The whole new town is a showcase of properties, and this attracts home buyers. These are the kind of new towns that we built in Singapore, massive. And each of these new towns could be about 600 over hectare, housing a population of about maybe 60,000, housing a total population of dwelling units of about 60,000. And because we have the economy of scale, we are able to provide a lot of public facilities, as you can see here. For the population, we are able to provide facilities. And in fact, these facilities benefit many private housing that are located within the new town. So actually private homeowners actually love to see public housing coming their way. Okay, this is a diagram that we use to guide our development of a master plan for new town. It's actually made up of town centers, neighborhood centers, and inside each neighborhood center are your precincts. This is a typical master plan of a new town. Area 1,200 to 3,000 dwelling units. And if you can see, this new town is divided into neighborhoods. Each neighborhood about 6,000 units, and there are actually 7 neighborhoods in this new town. And in each of the neighborhoods, I've taken out one neighborhood. So you can see that the little there are precincts inside each neighborhood, which is only about 500 units. So again, the point here is that our new town is organized by hierarchy. Higher 60,000, neighborhood 6,000, precinct 500. And different scale of facilities follow this hierarchy. And that's how we plan on new town. And inside the 500 precincts is usually a playground that forms the center for the precinct. And because we are able to provide facilities, there will be landscape parks in the new town. There will be government, polyclinic, hospitals, schools, library, swimming pools. There are even a lot of religious facilities like temples, Hindu temples, church, mosques. Because we are a multi-racial country, we need to provide all these institutions for our people. A lot of transportation will be planned, train lines, MRT lines, light rail, bus terminal, all will be planned. We have multi-story car parks, we have food courts, neighborhood centers, shopping malls. We even have spaces for community activities. And because we are planning new town, and because we are multiracial, we have to have this ethnic integration policy. Some people feel uncomfortable living in an estate that could be dominated by a certain race. But in Singapore, we try to achieve racial harmony by this ethnic integration policy. Only 30% of non-Chinese are allowed inside one block. And inside a neighborhood, we only allow 16% non-Chinese. So we have all these little sort of strategies to make sure that we achieve racial harmony inside the new town, which we feel is very important. The financial model can only be possible for large-scale new town. This is a financial model for the Housing and Development Board. Essentially, the government will give money to the Housing and Development Board to build the houses. At the same time, to loan money to the home buyers, and the home buyers using their CPF, using some grants also from the government, and some employee contribution of CPF, start to repay their loan to HDB, and HDB collecting all the money we pay back to the Singapore government. So this is how the financial model works in Singapore for large-scale public housing. Sounds simple, but HDB always have a deficit. The money is never enough from the government to allow them to carry out their building program. And every year there is a deficit by the HDB, but every year the government will cover them with more than their deficit, because the deficit is not just this amount, there are many other things. So you need a larger amount from the government to cover the deficit. So the point here is that public housing does not make money. It's heavily subsidized. The last point here, the last trust, is that we have to give choices for the people by creating more variety in housing. We have to make sure that the houses are affordable, and when they occupy a house, the homes must be an asset for them. It's not something that it is a depreciating investment. It is something that the government will always maintain or even increase the value of their homes. Run through very quickly some of the types of choices of homes available under the housing program in Singapore. We do have rental housing, but the point I want to make here is that our rental housing, the rent is very low. And if you're earning less than $800, or if you're earning less than $1,500, you just pay according to what you can afford. And only one and two rooms flats are available for rental. And recently, the government has introduced some more new schemes to allow people who are waiting for their homes to be completed some form of interim housing. So now, more people are able to go and rent their homes, but because they are already waiting for their homes, they can afford, so the rent is a little bit higher. And these are all the different room types and the different household income eligibility. I will just run through this very quickly. And we have also 3-generation flats. Then we also have flats for people above the age of 55 years. And the cost of the unit is only this much. Again, heavily subsidized. Then recently again, a lot of people are not getting married. They are getting to become single. So the government also starts to help them to own homes. So we have 2-bedroom for, not 2-bedroom, 2 rooms, only 1 bedroom for the single. Then of course there are people who, what we call the sandwich class. They cannot afford private housing, but they have an income that doesn't allow them to get to own public housing. So they are sandwiched in between. So the government created an executive condo for them. So these are the people that have got an income ranging from 10,000 to 12,000. So these are some of the eligibility conditions which I don't think I want to run through, but essentially again to show that it's all based on income. Basing on income and your kind of room or the kind of flat that you should be eligible, so that you don't overcommit. And then there are lots of housing grant given by the government. Easily, when for first time Singapore citizens buying a flat, the government easily give up a total of 60,000 immediately, just to make them afford the house, the down payment for the house. And of course, the higher the salary you earn, the less you get from the government. No, this is just some mortgage loan conditions. Essentially, the point here is that the loan tenure from a loan from HDB is 25 years, but if you get a loan from a bank, it's 30 years. The monthly servicing ratio is 30% for both. Just to show you that because of this housing grant, more than 50% of the households in Singapore will enjoy the grant. And then again, this newspaper cutting shows that you just earn $1,000 in Singapore, you own the home. And this is just a worksheet to show that Mr. Lee, earning only $1,500, can buy a $140,000 home. You only need to pay a mortgage of $308, but all this is paid for by his monthly CPF contribution. So he comes out, he doesn't need to pay anything, and he got a home in Singapore. And because the government does not want to flood the market with resale home, you must stay in your home for 5 years before you can sell it in the open market. So this is another control on the housing value, so that there is no flooding of resale units in the market. And like I say, many ministries come together to maintain the properties, and this ministries, essentially those ministries in charge of the environment, the housing, and the transportation. But I think more importantly, the point I want to make here are the programs by HDB to keep the HDB properties in tip-top condition. They have all these programs, and they run it on a cyclical basis. For example, the HDB will come and upgrade the toilet, change the front door, take care of all this falling concrete from the ceiling, and even add in a little extra space at the back of your block. And then they also did some playground, some car drop-off, repainting, lift lobby, letter boxes, and some ground floor facilities. And then they have they also, because the old blocks, the lift doesn't stop on every floor. So now the government HDB goes back in to build a new lift shaft, so that the lift now stops on every floor. Maybe because also the issue of the aging population. And also, we tear down old blocks and replace it with new blocks. And the number of yield in this new development compared to the one that we torn down usually comes about 3 or 4 times. That means every 300-400 units we can yield about another 1,800 a week. So that is a high yield if you go for redevelopment. This one Tony already showed you, I think the real hero in Singapore in maintaining our public housing is actually the town council. And this town council runs a new town essentially, and they are actually divided into districts. Here you have all these districts. So all these are the district of the town council. And the town council is the chairman, and he's an elected MP. He's a political person. This is the part that is outsourced to a facility management company. Then we have volunteer groups at this level to pick up all the residents of the new town. So together, they will sit down in meetings, develop programs, approve purchases to maintain the condition of the housing estate. And these are the reasons for setting up the town council, which I think I will just before. And these are some of the services by the town council. They take care of routine maintenance, cyclical works, improvement works, and other services. And all these are the services by the town council. I will just skip this one. The town council also help you to move your bulky old furniture if you don't want to use it anymore. And they also, essentially the town council is to control and improve public housing, the condition of public housing. They also create events for community voting. And this, they collect money through conservancy from the commercial users, from the residential, from the apartments, from the flat. And then this is their financial model. Essentially, 60% go into operation, and 30% go into sinking fund. Now, before I go off, since I'm here, and the objective of me being here is that you hope that I can share with you some of the experiences I had. I thought I would just run through some points as food for thought. Now, housing policies, we must take a practical approach to housing policies and not be bounded by current ideology. Housing policies, on the last 2 days when I sat through all the workshop, I found that you're sort of like trapped in time. You're just talking and talking and talking. But you have a lot of ideas. But I believe you can move on if you don't confine yourself to this time that you all have focused on me. You're going to move on. And housing policies must be for a fair society. It must be simple, informative, and beneficial. I already explained that in my presentation. And it's actually for the future generation, not so much for the present. The government is the authority to build the trust with the people to solve the housing issue. It's not just the government's problem or the people's problem. They all must work together to solve some of these problems. Now, you all talk about a lot of housing subsidies. I think good to have housing subsidies, but I think to me, what is not clear is that who should really benefit. Housing strategy is to support individuals when they strive for the aspiration to own a home and to save for retirement. This is an objective of housing. And the government must see that the investments in the housing is the primary means for creating opportunities for income growth and social mobility. Housing should be taken as an asset of the people. It should have a value that they can appreciate. And the programs and policies must be reviewed and grow beyond what is intended for. And it is a national responsibility, like I say. And all the government agencies must work together. And for Singapore to succeed, because we have a vision. Our vision is we want to house a nation. And this is a simple vision which your politician also could follow this vision. Just housing a nation will give you fantastic political mileage. If you can satisfy the population, you got your votes, you already won us for the next election. For Singapore, this is our vision, and that has made us very successful in our public housing. Give every citizen a stake in the country and its future. And because of this, everybody feels that they're responsible to the public housing. Not only as a homeowner, but also a responsibility to ensure that the country move on, because their homes, their asset is something that they need to protect. And to protect their asset, they have to protect the country. So that is my presentation. Thank you very much.
现在时间很有限，有没有爱的问题？1个到2个。
住的有其物，它的土地出场，是不是？对啊，就房子是住的有其屋，对不对？然后土地呢，土地还是仍旧归于国家所有吗？将来才可以改建吗？要不然就会变成我们台湾土地属于私人的，那我们就很难执行我们的住宅政策。
OK， 再一个问题，有没有再一个问题？
刚刚听完就是新加坡政府的那个介绍，然后发现其实他们是希望让居民就是可以拥有自己的房屋，然后提高自有率。但是其实好像另外一个声音是说，就是我们不一定要去拥有房屋，但是我们一样可以享有一样的好的居住品质。那想说，那这两个其实相对价是不同的策略，那哪一个比较适合台湾？因为可能台湾的政治生态跟新加坡不太一样，因为感觉新加坡的政府可能